Hello YouTube, man, it feels like it's been forever, and it has for me too, because I've been waiting on so many parts to come in that had back orders or delays. But finally, I've got the things in that I've been waiting for, so let's get to work on the truck. Alright, so I'm getting ready to wire in this easy wiring kit to run the interior stuff, and just kind of laying everything out, figuring out what I want to use. Stuff that I'm not going to need, I'm just going to take out as to not clutter up, you know, under the dash. And what I'll do for that, I'll just de-pin the wire. So I'll still have the connections if I ever do add power or anything, power windows, power locks, or anything like that. I'll still have the wires, and I'll still have the connections, and I just pin them back in. But for now, I'm just going to take out what I don't need. We're getting ready to put this thing in. To de-pin one of these, it's really not too bad. You just pull the fuse out, and then you just kind of work. There's a little catch here that you kind of got to, you know, work it. You just work it a little bit. You stick that down in there, and you kind of remove the catch, and then it pops right out. And then I'll just be able to roll these wires up. They're still labeled as to what they are, and then, you know, store them for later in case I ever want to add this stuff back later. Okay, so I've mounted my fuse panel there above the throttle pedal. That's where I had the most room. Over here, you know, we've got those bulkhead connectors kind of taking up a lot of space. So I just mounted it over here. I'll still be able to get to it from underneath, still be able to read it and everything. And from there, I've got all these wires that need to start hooking up. The best way to lay out these this wiring kit is just to bundle them up in where the general direction they're going. This will be for the rear. I'm going to cut a few of these out, like a trunk light, third brake light. Just thin this out a little bit. This is going up through the firewall into the front. This will be headlights and things like that, and power. This is all under dash, and this will be hookups for the column. So I keep them wire tied apart from each other just so I don't get overwhelmed, which I think would be easy to do. Now the back of the truck is all wired up now, so that's good. Check this out. I finally got a drill press. I've been looking for one of these late 40s, early 50s Craftsman King Sealy drill presses for about 2 years now. Finally found one, and kind of restored it, got it going again. I just love that style. It had so much style back then. But yeah, works great. I got it wired up to a foot control. So a little safer than a switch on the back. Been needing a drill press for a long time, but I've been holding out to get a Craftsman King Sealy. This is a 1949 Craftsman King Sealy. Very cool. So I pulled the front clip back off because I found that I actually had the radiator back farther than I needed to, so it was just on there mocked up anyways. It wasn't fully attached. So pulled it back off and brought the radiator forward a little bit, so that way I will have room to change the belt. Also, my alternator charge cable, it goes from the alternator over to the battery junction box. I'm going to be mounting the battery junction box in front of the battery here, and it was almost taut. Just a straight line going across, and it looked kind of weird, so I ordered a longer cable, and I went with a thicker cable. Went up in size since I'm going longer in length, so that's always good to do. And I'm going to install that now, so hopefully it won't be just stretched across the engine bay, kind of be able to run it back and then up and around. That's much better. So instead of a alternator charge cable that's stretched from the alternator to the positive side of the battery, it's now going under the cover, back behind, up behind the battery, and then to the positive terminal. I'm currently installing the trailer hitch. I was doing some research after my last video. I talked about that I was just going to put the grade 8 bolts in and weld all around it, and then I got to thinking that, and I read a few things too about degrading the tensile strength of the frame. If the frame is heat treated, could be just putting that much heat into it could degrade it and then weaken the back of the frame there. So what I figured, I was just gonna run 4 grade 8 bolts, you know, down through the top and then through the frame, and then on the other underside, I took the pieces that I cut off of the back to make it match the now shortened frame, and I'm just gonna flip this over and use this as the bottom, and then just bolt, you know, through the top of the trailer hitch, through the frame, and then use this as a strong plate for the bottom. Because really, when you're using grade 8 bolts, and especially using multiple 4 of them on this hitch, that's not going to be the weak point. The weak point's going to be somewhere in the ball, or you know, the hitch pin, more so than it would be anything there. So then that'll make the install of the hitch nice and quick and easy. And if I ever have to take the hitch off, it'll be a lot easier because it's not welded in. Also, if I ever get rear-ended and the hitch gets damaged, it's not a big pain to cut it back out and then replace it. The trailer hitch is done and mounted, and then it is hidden behind the license plate. That's not my license plate, by the way. That's a one I had laying around. These are the fittings I got back from Cold Hose after they've been modified for the AC system. This is the original to the car, this part here, and they just weld on these male fittings here to fit with the vintage air system. The type of welding I wouldn't be able to do. I think it looks like aluminum, and they pressure test them and everything, so that's good. This is the adapter pieces for our FS18 compressors. So this goes into the female end of the compressor, and then it gives us threaded male ends to attach the aftermarket AC system. So this is what the modified lines look like, and now I've got the fittings to use the aftermarket system, and there's the little modified manifold female to male fittings there on the compressor. Well, here it is, my vintage air kit for the pickup. The guys down at Vintage Air were really awesome in getting what I needed to make this work with the Crown Vic compressor and condenser. I think this is the main kit for the truck, and then that's probably the universal hose kit. So let's get to open them. There it is. And these are the controls I went with. They're black anodized and backlit by LED, and it's got a really good solid feel to it. I like it a lot better than the stock controls. As you can see here, the instructions actually feature a unibody, and the pictures do as well, so that's awesome. So then the pictures are exactly the my truck, which is fantastic. It's going to make things a lot easier. Now, going over this trim piece here, I'm going to need a piece of trim that goes along here that will cover the carpet, because if I don't have a piece of trim there, the carpet's going to get frayed and come undone. So, and I can't use a stock one because we've changed. I mean, we got to cover up the Crown Vic frame there. So I've just got some L-bar that I'm going to make a trim piece out of, and then I'm going to go ahead and drill and tap them, each individual piece into place. Because if I just mocked it all up and then took it over to the welding bench and welded it, it would twist and bend, and then when I go to put it back on, it would be all out of shape. So go ahead, drill, tap them, mount them down, and then weld from there to keep it from doing too much moving around. I got the pieces welded, and I'm gonna go ahead and grind these with them still bolted down, because grinding will still impart a lot of heat into it, and I still don't want it to warp or twist. Then I'm gonna take my little pneumatic disc sander and then sand it all pretty, put some 2K clear over it, so it'll look like a polished piece. I'm gonna make a template of this, reverse it, and use it for the other side. So that's where I'm gonna leave this video. Expect more videos much more quickly than this one came out. I was waiting forever for my gauges and my AC. They're in, and we'll be starting on that one in the next video. I'm gonna start filming that tomorrow. So it'll come out much quicker than this one did, because I was just waiting so long on parts. And as always, thank you guys so much for watching. I do have an Instagram account that I'm gonna start being more active on. That account is River City Motorbikes. If you guys wanna join me on there, that'd be great. I'll be doing some of the live videos and stuff, just of some little things about the truck. Anyways, as always, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.